ready for the ultimate tournament. The search for the worst is about to begin.
The World Cup of Bad Games.
Generation 4 tournament.
Alright everybody, welcome back to the tournament. Generation 4 has the largest number of consoles, so in order to spare you all the agony of sitting through another video that is over 22 minutes long, I have divided this tournament into two parts, and each part will cover one side of the bracket. Now some quick notes for this tournament. Since there are many consoles for this generation and 32 games in total, each group will be a mixture of games from various consoles. No group will have two games from the same console. I have done my best to mix and diversify the groups as best as I can. Here is the overall bracket. The tournament will play out exactly like the FIFA tournament. Winners of their group will stay on their side of the bracket, and the games that come in second place will be placed on the other side of the bracket. Criteria will remain the same for the most part. No homebrews, no adult themed titles, no prototypes, no board games of any type, no game show titles. This generation saw the arrival of the CD format to the gaming lexicon and introduced FMV titles. But were they the answer to better gaming? First console up, the TurboGrafx 16, also known as the PC Engine in Japan. It hit the market in 1987 and in the process started the fourth generation and brought 16-bit type graphics to the home market. It brings these four titles to the tournament: Ballistics, Darkwing Duck, China Warrior, and Deep Blue. Next up, the Sega Genesis, also known as the Mega Drive. It came out in 1987 before coming to the States in 1988 and officially kickstarting the 16-bit era in the US. Here are the Genesis titles: Super Highlight, Rise of the Robots, Back to the Future 3, and Dark Castle. Next is the TurboGrafx CD add-on, released in Japan in 1988 before hitting America in 1989. It was the first to allow games to be on a CD format and bringing FMV to gamers everywhere. This add-on provided many great games. None of those will be here. Instead, we got The Addams Family, Fighting Street, Legion, and It Came from the Desert. Next up is the Super Nintendo, also known as the Super Famicom. It got released in 1990 in Japan and came to the States in 1991. The Super NES brings Pit Fighter, Race Driving, College Football 97, and Bebe's Kids. The Philips CDI came out in 1990 as well. It incorporated the use of CDs as its main format, as opposed to requiring an add-on module to play such discs. The CDI has these four titles: Laser Lords, Atlantis, Mutant Rampage, and Alien Gate. Next up is the Neo Geo AES. It was released originally meant to be as a rental unit, but the company saw it was well received and decided to bring it to the market. It was pushed as a 24-bit system. I'm not going to get into the specifics on that here, and I'm going to leave that for a future video. The Neo Geo brings Writing Hero, Legend of Success Joe, Burning Fight, and Fight Fever. Next is the Sega CD, released in 1991 in Japan, then in the US in 1992. It gave Genesis owners something Nintendo didn't have: a CD add-on. The Sega CD brings Dracula, Sewer Shark, Night Trap, and Wild Woody to the tournament. The 32X is the last entry to the tournament. Another add-on for the Genesis. It was released in 1994 and brought these four titles to the mix: Slam City, Supreme Warrior, Star Trek, and Metalhead. All the consoles and the brackets are set. Here are what the groups look like after drawing of the lot. On this video, I'm going to be covering only the top side of the bracket here, which houses groups A through D, and the next video will cover group E through G. Here we go. Group A has China Warrior, College Football 97, Dracula, and Metalhead. Now, China Warrior was the TurboGrafx 16 flexing its GPU to Nintendo and Sega. Unfortunately, graphics are not everything, and that is a lesson learned painfully with this title. College Football 97 is a quasi 3D style football game on the Super NES, and if you like football, or even video games for that matter, then I am sorry if you've played this title. Dracula was the Sega CD's way of bringing the massive movie hit of that time to their console. Unfortunately, they forgot to bring along any fun gameplay. Metalhead on the 32X may look nice, sure, but then you press the start button and the game begins. What a letdown. You got a second add-on for the Genesis and you got this? Someone must pay. Now here's Group B. Dark Castle, Riding Hero, Atlantis, and It Came from the Desert. Dark Castle has some of the worst controls ever in a video game, and the gameplay is not very good. You know what? Shame on you, Electronic Arts. Shame on you. Riding Hero took the power of the Neo Geo to a whole new level of shittiness. All that power under the hood and we got this? Seriously? I mean, somebody had to pay $300 for a game like this? I want my refund, and I didn't even buy this game. Atlantis on the CDI tried to cash in on the Wolfenstein craze back in the day, but the problem is, Wolfenstein is fun, and it plays great. Atlantis, at least it has funny looking full motion video cutscenes, but hopefully you owned Wolfenstein and you could go play that instead. It Came from the Desert was awesome when it first came out. It had full motion scenes with actors that seemed to be ripped out of a cheesy B sci-fi flick, and it combined that with segments that you can play out like a regular video game. Unfortunately, when you put it all together, the end result, it was not good. Group C consists of Night Trap, Legend of Success Joe, Pit Fighter, and Star Trek. Now, Night Trap is just a mess of a game with very little gameplay and really cringe acting. If you manage to finish this game, then all I gotta say is, what the hell's wrong with you? Legend of Success Joe is a beat 'em up / boxing game. It is a very early Neo Geo title and it shows, for sure. There is a reason this game makes multiple online lists of bad Neo Geo games. Once you play it, it's justified. Pit Fighter for the Super NES is a great example that no matter how well you can port a game over from the arcades, sometimes the issue is not the graphics, it's just that the game sucks. Some things just deserve to stay in the arcades. Star Trek. You love Star Trek? Good. This game right here is just for you. Everyone else, stay away. Group D is the last group covered for this video, and it includes Super Highlight, Darkwing Duck, Laser Lords, and Fighting Street. Now, the original Highlight on the NES sucked. I don't care what anybody tells you, it sucked. The developers now had 16-bit power behind them for this title, and they harnessed all that power. No, you know what? It sucked. It sucked. It sucked big time. Next. Remember how much fun the Capcom Disney games were for the NES? Like DuckTales, for instance? That was awesome. Well, Darkwing Duck is the complete opposite of any of those games. Let's strip away all layers of fun, good controls, and great gameplay. Oh look, it's Darkwing Duck. Laser Lords is a game I never heard of. After seeing it in action, I wish it would have stayed that way. The true power of the CDI in all its glory, right there for you to behold. Wow. Fighting Street was named that way so maybe gamers would not realize they were buying Street Fighter the arcade for their $600 TurboGrafx CD add-on. Maybe, just maybe, they might be able to pull off this great... Nope, you know what? Nope, it's Street Fighter the arcade for home. So after group play, we take a look at the brackets and see who advances to the knockout round. In the first bracket, we have the winner of Group A against runner-up of Group B.
College Football 97 versus Atlantis.
Now, College Football 97 has horrible, and I mean horrible, graphics. This is 8-bit graphics at best. At best, it looks bad. It plays worse, and good luck getting your players to do what you want them to do. You know, I wish I could tell you that playing College Football 97 is like playing a Tecmo Bowl game. I wish I could tell you that this is a good football game. I wish I could tell you that. But this tournament is no fairy tale world. Atlantis is a bad version of a crappy attempt at a Wolfenstein game. I said it before, I'll say it again, and I'll keep saying it in future references. But at least you could run around and for a brief few seconds have a little bit of fun before the crappiness of it all washes over you like a tidal wave of despair. But it does play better than College Football 97. Hell, a wet sack of paper towels is more fun than that atrocity of a game that calls itself College Football 97. It advances. Next bracket, Group C winner and Group D runner-up face off, and it's
Night Trap versus Laser Lords.
Night Trap raised a lot of attention upon release, and unfortunately, it wasn't for its amazing gameplay. Campy overall acting, very limited gameplay, and what little it had, it was repetitive. Not a great showcase of what the amazing power of the CD format could do. Laser Lords, it's slow. The way every step you take makes that little tap sound is annoying, and it gets annoying by the second, and before you know it, you want to turn the game off. At least the NPCs have actual voiceovers, that's a big plus. It was a big issue back then. Everything after that is a big minus. The overall game is like playing a video game in slow motion. Good luck with that. But here's the thing, at least playing Night Trap has a silly camp feel to it. You laugh at the acting and you enjoy it for the crap that it is. With that said, Laser Lord advances. On this quarterfinal match, it is
College Football 97 versus Laser Lords.
If you ever have an urge to go and play a retro football game for any reason whatsoever, I can email you a list of some great NES, Super NES, and Genesis football titles that are a million times better than this title right here. Unfortunately, I have no such list to replace Laser Lords. It is unique, and it sucks. And if you bought a CDI thinking you were getting out of this world gameplay, graphics, and an experience like no other, this title brought you back down to earth in a fiery and horrifying crash. Laser Lord advances to the semi-final match on this side of the bracket. On the other side, it is the first knockout bracket match, seeing Group B winner versus Group A runner-up.
Dark Castle versus China Warrior.
Dark Castle is what happens when you make a game just for the sake of getting money and not thinking about, gameplay, fun, gamers everywhere, graphics, sounds, music, the human race, little kid. China Warrior is shallow in its gameplay, and it looks great, sure, huge sprites, it was a big deal back then, and it was not that bad, but all you do is punch or kick and move forward, that's all. You know what, who are we kidding here? Dark Castle advances. Next knockout match, it's Group D winner
Super Highlight versus Pit Fighter.
runner-up from Group C. One is a crappy game with little to no worthy gameplay whatsoever, and the other is a crappy game with little to no worthy gameplay whatsoever. Boy, these two games are so bad it's gonna be close. Pit Fighter has some of the worst looking graphics and controls I have had the unfortunate chance to play. Now, how many frames of animation does this game run on? 2? I think that's one too many. Did the same developers who made Pit Fighter here make the one for the Master System? Is that it? Yet for all that, it pales in comparison to the waste product that is Super Highlight. The graphics are even worse here, if you can believe that. I mean, look at these buildings right here. Look at the surroundings. The characters and the NPCs all move at 1 frame per second. I thought 2 was bad for Pit Fighter, but these people right here, it's 1. They move at 1 frame per second. The manual, it doesn't help. The NPCs are even worse. The 16-bit power of the Genesis, I can't find it. Is it here? Because I don't see it. Super Highlight advances. So, for this quarterfinal match, it's
Dark Castle versus Super Highlight.
So for this match, it pits 2 games from the same console. Dark Castle is... have you played it? I mean, it almost has no rival. But Super Highlight doesn't stay far behind. It has crap-like graphics, crap-like gameplay. The closest it comes to the word super is that it super sucks. I mean, play it for a bit, don't be surprised or alarmed if you start sobbing 2 minutes into the game like I did. It is a freaking horrible experience from the moment you start the game to the 3-minute mark when you realize that you have to turn it off. Oh, you know what? Wait a minute. I was talking about Dark Castle in the end there. My bad. You know what? Dark Castle advances to the semi-final on this side of the bracket. So, the top part of the tournament bracket is set. Laser Lords and Dark Castle await to see who their opponent will be. Next video, I'm going to go over the bottom part bracket and crown the winner of the Generation 4 tournament. See you all in a week or so. Keep watching, keep gaming, and as always, take care of yourselves.